Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a man telephoning a language school for French lessons. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Hello, this is Bonjour Français, Elizabeth speaking. How can I help you?
I would like to study French. I am going to Paris next month, and I would like to brush up on my French before I go with some sort of course.
The type of course you would be looking at is a series of private lessons then. I'm afraid you can't join a class for short periods of time like that.
I understand. Yes, I would like that.
Can I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Charles Blackley. That's Blackley.
Thank you, Mr. Blackley. You say you would like to freshen up your French, so can I assume you speak some French already?
Well, yes, but not very well. I studied it at school, but that was a long time ago. I have had some holidays in France since then and spoken it a bit, but I wouldn't say I am very fluent. I don't expect to be able to do business in French or anything, but I'd like to be able to make myself understood at my hotel and in restaurants. I'm going to a conference for work.
So you are not exactly a beginner, but you would like to get yourself to a basic communication level, correct?
Yes, exactly. I think I would need quite a few hours, though.
Can you give me your phone number, please? I'm on a landline here, so I can't see what your number is.
I won't give you my work number because I'm not in the office all the time and it goes to voicemail. This is the best number to call me on, 497 55 983. That's my mobile number.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 4 to 10.
How much are the lessons?
Our packages start at 10 hours and the cost is £35 per hour, so a package would cost £350. You could do 6 lessons of an hour and a half and a final lesson of an hour. The teacher I have in mind specializes in getting people ready for holidays and business trips, so you would be in the right hands.
That sounds excellent. Where are you based?
The school is at 35 Market Street on the 3rd floor. Would you be doing the lessons in the evenings after work?
Yes, and the position is perfect. I work in Martin Street, around the corner from the school, so I could walk there quite quickly. That will save me a lot of time. What time could I have the lessons? I get away from work at about 6 o'clock.
What about 6 then, if you are only a few minutes walk away? That would have you finishing as early as 7:30.
That sounds perfect. How many days a week do you suggest I come for lessons?
What about starting with twice a week in the first week and then building up the number of lessons before you leave for France? Then, if you feel you need some extra lessons, we can add them onto your 10-lesson package without you having to buy as many as 10 more hours. What do you think of that?
Okay, is the teacher available on Tuesday and Thursday?
At that time, she's not available on Tuesdays. Perhaps you could do Mondays and Thursdays. Would that suit you?
Yes, that would be fine. What do I have to bring to the lesson?
The teacher will supply you with photocopies for the lessons. A notepad is all you need, so you can write things down.
I think I would prefer some sort of course book.
Why don't you discuss this with your teacher at the first lesson? Oh, yes, we need to assess your level before you begin. Can you do the online level test on our website before the first lesson? It is a multiple-choice grammar and vocabulary test.
Okay, but keep in mind that I read French quite well. It's the speaking and pronunciation that I have problems with. Where on the website is it?
If you go to the page called Student Information next to Course Times, you will see a link called Level Test. Click on that. It takes about 15 minutes to do so. It will help the teacher in her preparation.
Thank you very much. I just need to check with work that I can leave a few minutes early. Can I call you back to confirm?
Yes, of course. My name is Elizabeth. I'll wait for your call. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a childcare educator talking to trainees at the beginning of a course to become a home daycare provider. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Welcome to the first day of these government-funded childcare courses. As you know, this region has a distinct lack of childcare facilities, so we are giving these courses to enable people in the area to start up small childcare businesses in their own homes. This 3-month afternoon course will not only teach you the basics of how to care for children between the ages of 2 and 5 years, and give you information on how to set up your own daycare facility, but will also enable you to become a registered home daycare provider. You will also need to concurrently study for CPR and first aid qualifications. There are morning classes at the local hospital, and I can give you information for enrolling in one of those. I know that many of you have been working in childcare facilities in this region for some time. To qualify to begin this course, all of you already have the experience of at least 300 hours of childcare, and you have all passed the necessary background checks. Before the end of this course, there will be a 2-hour exam that covers the syllabus we will study on the course. As most of you will be aiming to become registered home daycare providers, we will help you through the process. We are authorized to assist you in arranging the submission of registration forms once you have passed the course. It's quite a complicated process, and we want to make it easier for you. You have all passed the required home inspection. This has assured us that you meet the requirements for safety and cleanliness. any necessary childproofing of the home, and that there is a supply of emergency equipment.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
As this is part of a social government program, your license fee for being a registered home daycare provider will be waived for the next 3 years. Becoming a home daycare provider is a great way of working from your own home, particularly if you have your own children to look after, and you would be in the home anyway. As part of the course, we will also teach you how to manage your finances when running a daycare facility from home, and what you need to declare to the tax department. We will also cover the fees you can charge and the type of insurance you need to have. Training will be provided in food preparation, taking care of the children's hygiene and basic needs, doing activities with the children, and including some sleeping times for them. We wish to increase the number of home daycare centres in the region, so we want to make sure you succeed. Don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. We are here to help you. The first thing you might ask is, how many children are you allowed to look after at once? For a single carer household, you can have up to 6 children, including your own, and they cannot be under the age of 2 years. If you employ a qualified assistant, you can have more, but this would need to be approved by us and would depend on the size of your home, etc. If you wish to care for smaller babies, that would require the further infant care qualification, which is an additional 1-month course, which we also offer. When you obtain your registration, you will qualify to be added to the municipality's website as one of our childcare providers. I assure you, you will be inundated with requests from families who need childcare, as we currently don't have enough. You will need to be prepared for occasional unexpected spot checks of your premises from us. And you will also need to regularly report to us on the children you are caring for. On this 12-week course, you will have 3 hours of lessons in the afternoons from 2 o'clock, 4 days a week from Monday to Thursday. It is a total of 144 hours. Oh, by the way, you also get free parking. You will be given a pass card at the end of the lesson that gives you entry to our staff car park. That doesn't cover today, I am afraid, as we were unable to send it to you in the post. But from tomorrow until the end of the course, you can park here without any problem. The entrance to the car park is in White Street, behind us.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You hear a communications student talking to his tutor about a creative writing project he is doing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24.
So, Ian, for your course mini-thesis this year, you are presenting a novel. Is that correct? I understand you have already been working on it for a number of years, and one of the main reasons you took this creative writing module was to get it finished.
Well, not necessarily. The reason I started doing a communications degree is because I've always wanted to be a professional writer. 4 Booker Prize winners are graduates of this course. I knew I could learn the correct techniques for fiction writing at this university.
Yes, you have come to the right place. Now, I know you have been doing readings of some of your chapters in the group tutorials. How has that been for you?
Pretty brutal. The other students aren't afraid to say exactly what they think. Though I must say, even though the feedback has been tough at times, it has all been constructive, and I have given back some of my thoughts on other students' work too. I find the reading sessions so rewarding. Writing is such a solitary business, and finding readers is never easy. Having listeners is such a great experience.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30.
There has been some criticism of your work that it doesn't have enough structure. What kind of novel would you say it is?
Most of the other students are writing crime novels and thrillers which need to have a specific formula for the structure. However, I'm writing an account that is loosely based on my great-grandfather's life, as it is a mainly character-based psychological study. It's not easy to follow the typical plot path, as nothing really dramatic happens.
I understand, but you have to make use of some of the traditional forms if you want to retain a reader's attention, whether you are writing literary or genre fiction. Can you tell me what these are?
There is the classic 5-stage plot structure: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. I know I can't deviate from that, as my story is more character-driven though. I like to think of it more as the onion-peeling type of exposition. The story goes backward in time a lot, so we can see the motivation behind the character's behavior and personality.
I see. It's written in the first person. Don't you find this to be constraining?
It does slow down the action, and that's probably where the structural problem is. But I like the very subjective, one-sided reveals. The reader needs to work harder, I suppose, to understand the real truth behind the character. That's why I make use of flashback to solve the problem of exposing his past.
I think the flashbacks are a little long. Generally, writers use them to expose just one factor at a time. Perhaps you could tighten them up a bit. What proportion of the text are they at the moment?
About half, I suppose. Do you really suggest I shorten them?
Perhaps you could have an omnipresent narrator present them. Then the difference between the time periods would be much clearer, and you could avoid lengthy time and place setups and descriptions.
That is an interesting idea. A narrator that can see all can describe situations much more efficiently. I wonder why I hadn't thought of that myself.
It's not easy to take a step back from your work and look at it objectively. That's what the group readings are for. The only downside is you can't read the whole novel aloud, so flaws in structure are not so obvious. I think your style is excellent. From what I've read, I can see you do have talent.
Thank you. It's heartening to get some positive feedback sometimes.
What would you say is the midpoint of the novel, the place where some sweeping change comes in?
I don't think I'm there yet. I suppose it will be when he meets his wife. She is the factor that leads him to changing his view of the world.
How far off this point are you? What I suggest is that you start writing that chapter now. I think you need a starting point to resolving the story.
You mean jump ahead? I don't want readers finding mistakes in my chronology. I've only written it in chapter order so far. That way, I can be sure to remember what order I've introduced certain information. It's hard to keep track of everything.
Give it a try, just an exercise. I suggest you write the last few pages as well. It'll give you a better feeling for the action. Send me something in an email when you've written it, and we can talk about it again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you. This has been really useful.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a part of a lecture about bees. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 36.
Western honeybees are the bees used for commercial honey throughout the world, and their existence relies on a tight bond and cooperation between all the bees in the hive. In every honeybee hive, there are 3 types of bees: the queen, worker bees, and drones. Queen bees have the sole purpose of laying eggs for the colony. There is only one in every hive, and they can live for up to 5 years. The majority of the colony is made up of female non-reproducing worker bees. They do different jobs depending on their age, and their life cycle is short. From the age of 12 to 17 days, they work inside the hive, looking after eggs and larvae, storing nectar and pollen, feeding the queen, and building the hive itself from wax produced from their pores. From 18 to 21 days, they guard the hive, and at 22 to 42 days, they forage for food. Drones, which are male bees, whose only job is to mate with queens from other colonies, make up about 15% of the population. They are smaller than the queen, but larger than workers. They cannot make wax and are unable to collect pollen or nectar. They do not even have a sting. To ensure genetic diversity, drones do not mate with their own queen. If, during their lifetime, a new queen from another hive is in search of mates, they are called into action. Otherwise, they are of no practical use to the hive. They are even fed by worker bees. They are expelled from the colony in the autumn, so their lifespan is some weeks to a few months, depending on when they are born during the year. The 2 types of food bees require are honey made from the sugary nectar of flowers and small grains of pollen from the anthers of flowers. Pollen provides a wide range of nutrients including protein, carbohydrates, lipids, vitamins, and minerals. Most bees collect either pollen or nectar, but some carry both at the same time. The pollen is stored in receptacles on their hind legs called corbiculae, and a bee can carry half her weight in pollen. Nectar is ingested into the forager bee's honey stomach, which contains a digestive enzyme called invertase. If hungry, she opens a valve in the nectar stomach, and a portion of the nectar passes through to her own stomach to be converted to energy for her own needs. Invertase splits the nectar sucrose into fructose and glucose. When they return to the hive, they regurgitate the nectar into the cells of the honeycomb or deliver it to one of the worker bees, who passes it mouth to mouth with other bees until its moisture content is reduced. The worker bees in the hive repeatedly ingest and regurgitate the nectar, adding more invertase, continuing to break the nectar down. Once the honey is placed in honeycomb cells, they are capped with beeswax by the worker bees. Pollen is mixed with nectar to make a substance called bee bread, which is rich in protein and is fed to the larvae.
Before you hear the rest of the lecture, you have some time to look at questions 37 to 40.
The queen is the center of the hive and the center of any swarm of bees. She is the largest bee, with an elongated abdomen which she places over the center of the cells to deposit her eggs in the honeycomb. A queen mates only once in her life and stores the sperm she collects in her spermatheca, an organ in her abdomen which is used for fertilizing her eggs. Over the years, the queen runs out of the genetic material she has collected, but she does not mate again. When the queen dies or becomes infertile, chosen larvae in the cells are exclusively fed royal jelly, which somehow has the effect of creating new queens. Royal jelly is a honeybee secretion from the glands in the hypopharynx of worker bees that is used to feed all larvae, but normal larvae are also fed bee bread. The first queen larva to emerge kills all other queens at their development stage. She goes out looking for mates on the 6th day of emerging and mates with 10 to 15 drones from other hives. After mating, the young queen returns to the hive and for the rest of her life is surrounded by worker bees who feed and groom her, while she lays eggs day and night, up to one every minute.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.